Eyes wide open. Step into the shadows. If you think the stories are just myths, think again. Now let's take a look.
The search for a missing hiker along the Appalachian Trail.
She was missing.
Oh, we should have never came to the Appalachian Mountains.
Definitely seemed like they had done that before. It weren't any familiar language, dialect, or anything I've ever heard, not even seen on any kind of foreign films, but they had a language. But what got me the most is, officials have to know about these feral people, and wherever they live and thrive, be it a cave or whatever, just how many of them are there out there? And why are officials not doing anything about it?
There are stories of feral families living deep in these woods. Stories of people hearing crying in the woods, but the crying never changes. Almost like it's on a loop. And if you follow it, you don't come back.
What was that?
There's people outside right now.
One of the scariest things to happen to me in the Appalachian Mountains. Now, if this sounds familiar, and you've heard me do a bunch of these stories before, it's because I lived there for 27 years. I live in Oklahoma now, but while I was there, I saw some of the most mysterious things you could ever imagine. I lived on what used to be Native American land, and it was in the middle of nowhere, and it was a truly magical place that could be absolutely horrifying. But this story has nothing to do... But this story has nothing to do with any supernatural creatures or paranormal activity. This story is the cruelest, most dangerous things in the woods, and it's mankind, okay? Now, I've seen men do some awful, horrible things in the woods when they're tucked away from civilization. There's essentially no rules and no laws, and what happened next was no different, okay? This was a truly terrifying moment for me as a 10-year-old boy. So what had happened is me and my older cousin Bobby Buck, if you're watching this, I love you, man. You've always been an inspiration in my life. So me and Bobby were deer hunting, and anyhow, he successfully shot a buck. And when it got hit, it pretty much died immediately, but before it died, it went about 10 feet and it fell off a bluff, which is a cliff. It's like a 30, 40-foot drop down into the woods below. Okay, so we look over the bluff, we see where it's at, but we knew we wouldn't be able to pinpoint it again, like if we had to find this location again. So he said, hey, you stay down there with the deer. And I had to walk down this bluff. I had to walk down this bluff and get down there to where this deer was. And he said, hey, I'm going to go back to the house and get some rope because we're going to have to lower this rope down to you. Now, I'm 10 years old, mind you. I'm going to lower this rope down to you. We're going to tie the rope around the deer antlers. I'm going to get on the four-wheeler and we're going to drag it up over this cliff because this deer is way too heavy for us to carry up this, just straight up embankment. There's no way. And I was like, okay, I'm 10 years old. Bobby's my hero. I'm going to do whatever he says, And so I'm sitting there. And I was there for like half an hour. And while I'm sitting there, I can hear his four-wheeler get further and further in the distance until now I can't hear it anymore at all. And I'm sitting there, and it's been a while. And this is when one of the most terrifying moments in my life ever happened, okay? I hear in the distance, now if you know anything about the Appalachian woods, it's a truly spooky, magical place, but you can hear everything. You can hear it all. A squirrel will sound like an elephant going through the woods. So really far away, I can hear whistling. And I'm not going to whistle and recreate it out here because that's a no-no to whistle in the dark. Big no-no. And I can hear whistling. And it's getting closer. And it's coming from the opposite direction Bobby just went. So I know it's not Bobby because I never heard his four-wheeler come back, obviously. And I knew right then and there. There was always tales of feral people, moonshiners, homeless people living up in these woods. And this is our land. There ain't nobody else is supposed to be out here. This is ours. And we're way too far out here in the middle of nowhere for somebody to have walked here. Okay? And I hear the whistling getting closer, and I'm like, man, it's coming right at me. So I had to figure out, okay, I got to get behind some shrubs and some bushes and just put some sticks over me so this fella doesn't see me. And I just laid there and waiting for what felt like an eternity. And I hear his footsteps, and he's by himself. And, I have a rifle, and I'm thinking, I'm 10 years old, but I'm thinking maybe I just maybe I just do it, because if he sees me first, I don't know what he's got, He's not supposed to be here already. And he's whistling the whole time. He whistled the whole time the same tune. I'm almost like reliving it, like PTSD reliving it right now. And then finally he gets to a point where he's past me and he keeps going. And I'm like, okay, he didn't see me. He didn't notice the deer that was laying here. I mean, it's woods, it's thick woods. But I would guess by the loudness. By the loudness, he was probably 30 feet away, 40 feet away. He was close. He was almost right on me. And I never saw the guy. I just laid there on my back, just looking. It's weird when you think that, like, the sky you're looking at's about to be the last thing you're ever going to see. Anyhow, the reason why it was so scary also is not just because this is a man that's obviously already breaking the law by being where he's at, but the previous summer in Bobby's little cousin, or his little brother's house, Danny, of course it's their same house, I was spending the night over there, and I woke up to a man looking through the window at us, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, and, like, he wasn't just looking at the window at us. Like, I had got up to, like, pee and get some lemonade. It's like 2 a.m. I was getting, like, a glass of lemonade. I loved my Aunt Mary's lemonade. I was getting some lemonade and just, like, using the bathroom and stuff, and when I came back to lay down in the bed, I saw him staring through the window at my cousin Danny, and then I screamed, and then he looked up at me, and then no one in the house believed me. He thought I was having a dream, and I was like, yeah, I'm having a dream with a lemonade in my hand, like, Anyhow. And then now this is happening. So I'm like, this is probably the same dude. Like, this is the same property. It's probably the same guy. And he was already being a creep then, and then, the footsteps walked away, the whistling went away. And then I hear my cousin Bobby's 4-wheeler coming back. And I'm like, oh gosh, I hope this guy's going to run. Bobby would have taken him anyhow, no doubt. But hopefully this guy runs and doesn't come to investigate the noise of the 4-wheeler, because I'm still down here alone, And anyhow, we roped the deer out of there. We got out of there. He made some great beef jerky, or deer jerky, and that was awesome. It was a great time. But I never told anybody about it, except for I told Bobby that I heard whistling, but I never really told anybody in detail, because one, I'd already experienced people not believing me and thinking I was crazy and, like, making stuff up. But two, I know my grandpa, and he would have gone looking. My grandpa's no longer alive, but he would have gone looking for who was out there in those woods that was his. And I didn't want him to. So I never told anybody until now. So there's my story.
Please, please, please. No.
I just dropped my daughter off at school, and I overheard another parent talking to another parent about how they and their family are going to be going camping in the Appalachian Mountains very soon, like when summer begins. And I just, as somebody who, like, knows a lot about the Appalachian Mountains because I grew up around them, I'm still very close to the White Mountains, but further away now. So I piped in real quick, and I was just like, I hope you guys have a really good time. Please be safe. Those mountains are crazy, and you never know what's lingering inside of them. And the woman goes, okay, well, don't worry. We've been there a couple times before, not to, like, ever camp or anything, but to actually just walk a portion of the trail. And I'm thinking, okay, well, camping is a little bit different, but I hope you guys have fun anyway. But then on my way back to the car just now, I couldn't help but think that, like, people romanticize Appalachia way too much. Like, and then when you actually get to Appalachia, you realize it's not romantic. It's actually quite scary. There are also stories from those mountains that people don't really openly talk about. I don't know, maybe like the fact that there's people living in caves out there as feral human beings. So in the Appalachian Mountains, there are tons of different cave systems. Actually, some of the largest cave systems on Earth are actually located there. And, like, I don't think you understand how many caves there are. There are still some caves out there that are not even mapped yet by people. And for generations, people of the area have warned their family members, their children, like, to just stay away from certain areas because they know that they're more dangerous than others. They would tell their kids and their family members and whoever else they wanted to tell to stay away from those places because of the people who lived there. I know it could just be written off as some, like, oh, that's just a tall tale that, your mom's gonna tell you so that you don't run away. But there really were people that disappeared into those mountains. There's literally moonshiners out there hiding from the law. Could be families fleeing from civilization, runaways, violent fugitives, violent criminals. And then you have those who are born in complete isolation in the mountains themselves. I mean, imagine like a forest of that vast of a size. It is very easy to get lost into. You can vanish completely. I was reading this forum online, and this guy, he posted on Reddit that he was backpacking in like the deeper backcountry parts of the Appalachian Mountains. He said that he had been hiking for hours and hours and hours and everything was fine, and suddenly he just realized that everything went completely silent. And if you know anything, you know that that is not a good sign, especially when you're out in the forest by yourself. Then he noticed smoke. At first he assumed that it was just like another group of hikers nearby or whatever, but the smoke wasn't like a big plume of smoke like a campfire smoke would be. It was more of like a steady stream of smoke up like further out towards the mountain. When he followed it, he found something that he was not expecting. So instead of finding the tents of another hiker, he found like little structures that were built between like trees and rock, like actual makeshift shelters made out of like whatever they could find around the area. Tarps, rusted cans, animal bones hanging from branches. According to him on his post, he said that the moment he stepped closer, he realized that people were watching him. Like several different people were standing off in the tree line watching him. Described them as having an almost feral-like appearance. They were very emaciated, very skinny, very like disheveled looking. Just feral. They looked like feral people. I feel like that just has a very distinct look, feral people, right? He said none of them spoke a single word. They just stared at him. So the Reddit user does what any sane person would do, and he gets the out of there. But also, according to him, he could hear footsteps following behind him as he was leaving, like as if somebody was following him back down the trail to make sure that he got out of wherever they were setting up their little civilization. Now, whether the story is true or not, it is hard to pass by because there are so many others that are like it. Like there are dozens of stories like this from the Appalachian Mountains of people seeing real feral people. There's this old Appalachian attitude that's like, if it's in the woods, leave it alone. Honestly, that mentality probably exists for a reason. Like, you know, things passed down from ancestor to ancestor. Fears passed down from one bloodline to the next. Because we also got to remember Appalachia is older than freaking bones, dude. It's been around since before Saturn's rings, and it's probably one of the oldest mountain ranges on this freaking planet. There's so much lore behind it, and I love talking about it. But yeah, anyways, be safe out there if you're going on the Appalachian Trail, because you never know if you're going to walk into a skinwalker or a feral human being.
Y'all, I just walked off the porch and I came out here to check on the chickens. I just heard, first off, I heard my name. Second off, it sounded like somebody was saying, help me. Hey. Help. I need help. Eric, can you help me?
My grandpa used to say, there are things in the Appalachian Mountains that you just don't talk about after dark. Especially things that can sound human. So back in the early 2000s, there was a man from East Tennessee driving home late one night after helping his brother repair a fence line out near the mountains. It was one of those heavy Appalachian nights where the fog hangs low through the trees and every road feels darker than it should. No radio, no traffic, just gravel under the tires and the woods on both sides of the road. And that's when he heard it. His mother's voice, clear as day, calling his name from somewhere deep in the trees. Problem was, his mother had been dead for almost 3 years. At first he tried convincing himself that he was just tired. But then the voice came again. Closer this time. Soft. Almost sweet. Baby, pull over. He said every hair on his arm stood up because it sounded exactly like her. Same voice, same accent, same way that she used to talk to him when he was growing up. And against all better judgment, he slowed his truck down, and then he saw something. Standing inside the tree line. Tall. It was way too tall. Its arms looked long, too long for its body. And even in the dark, he could tell something was not right. It was just shaped wrong. And then it stepped forward into the headlights. He said its face looked almost human, like something pretending to be a person, but not fully understanding how people actually look. Its eyes reflected bright white like a deer on the side of the road. and then it smiled. Wide. Too wide. And his mother's voice said, "You don't leave family behind." He slammed his foot on the gas and fishtailed down the gravel road, trying to get away. He made it home shaking so bad he could barely get out of his truck. His wife running outside asked him what happened, and then he stopped and stared at the passenger side door. There were muddy handprints smeared all down the side of the truck, like something had been running beside him in the dark. He never drove that road again at night. And around here, older folks still warn people about voices in the woods. Because if something calls your name out in the Appalachian Mountains, and you're alone, you don't answer it.
Hey. I think that is one of the creepiest things that I have ever caught on camera and that I have ever experienced in my life. That sounds almost identical to my voice. Like, I thought it was 100%, and then I listened back to that recording and I was like, something's off. Which is the way it goes with these things. It's always almost correct. I was careful to not respond to it, and after I took that video, I walked away and came back later. But yeah, I guess it's using my voice on me now, which is weird. If this is even the same thing, who knows? We have a melting pot of paranormal things happening in this house and to me at all times. But yeah, that was creepy. I'm so glad that I started recording because no one would believe me without that. Has anyone else ever heard their own voice? That's so weird. Like, I've heard other voices, but my own.
Yo, open the door.
Who are you?
It's me, your brother Keon. Open the door.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. Open the door.
I'm not gonna open the door. You're not real.
I want to talk. Come on, open the door.
No. Get out of here.
Open the door.
So that was so scary.
You wouldn't believe how hard it's been for me to make one single video for you guys. If you don't know who I am starting to share experiences of hauntings that happened to me or my neighbors growing up in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains. I lived in a very, very small town in the southwest part of Virginia. I lived primarily with my mother in a mobile home park, in a mobile home on a dead-end street surrounded by woods. Inside of those woods sit an 1800s Confederate/civilian graveyard and some other really brutal history on this land. When I was 5 years old, my dad unalived himself in our living room, and my mother, my brother, and I found him. My dad had been diagnosed with cancer and had been given a very short time to live. His days were miserable. He had little to no quality of life left. His days looked a little like he would read his Bible, he would cry, he would sometimes get up and walk to the refrigerator or try to sit in the living room, but ended up just having to go right back to his room. He would pray to himself, he would pray to us, he would just weep and cry and read the Bible. I don't remember a lot of my little years. However, my teenage years were very troubled. And I bring my oldest daughter home from the hospital, her very first night home. And I sleep with her in the living room. Well, I'm terrified that I'm not going to hear her, so I'm sleeping very lightly. Sometime in the middle of the night, I wake up and I hear the sound of carpet crunching. Now, a little information that you're going to need to be able to visualize this is this was a mobile home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath mobile home. My dad's bedroom was at the far end of this mobile home. It was separated by a bathroom and then my room beside of the bathroom. And they were all joined into the hallway that led to the living room.
So I wake up in the middle of the night and I hear carpet crunching, like someone is walking through the hallway. And something inside of me just knew that it was not a person. And I couldn't look. I froze. So I tried to wake my child's dad up and be like, hey, I'm scared. There's something standing there. Can you please look and see if you see anything? He wouldn't. He said for me to go back to sleep. And so I was so tired that I did go back to sleep. It doesn't stop there. So the very next night, his sister stays with me and she's going to help me with the baby or whatever. Well, same thing. I'm sleeping very light. I wake up because she has woke me up. She is scared. She said that she wanted to leave. And obviously I asked her, why are you afraid? And she said that she had been in the bathroom for like an hour doing God knows what. And that she could hear someone in the back bedroom crying, and it sounded like pages were turning. Now, I immediately knew. She had no idea, but I immediately knew what it was. My mother locked that room. I wasn't even allowed to go in there. So I didn't want her to be even more afraid. I told her that I just thought that we were really exhausted and we needed to go back to sleep. She never came back to my house again after that. So later on, years go by, and I tell myself that if this ever happens to me again, that I'm going to look and see if something is standing there. So I get with someone else and we end up having a child. I bring my child home from the hospital. It's her very first night in the home from the hospital. The exact same thing happens. I sleep with her in the living room. I wake up in the middle of the night to the exact same sound of carpet crunching, like someone is walking through the carpet. But before I could tell myself that I was too afraid to look, I looked. There was nothing there. Nothing. Nope. No feet print of someone walking. So I don't really know what I felt or what I thought. Some time goes by and I go back into my room, obviously, and I wake up in the middle of the night and my child's father is on the corner of the bed, facing the wall, like talking very lightly. And I thought maybe he was on the phone. So I just placed my hand on his shoulder. I'm like, hey, are you okay? And he's like, I am talking to your dad. You need to go back to sleep. To me, that is ridiculous because my dad has been gone now for 15 years. Or at least close to that. But I go back to sleep. And every time that I had asked him, what did this dad say? He won't tell me. He says, I'm not going to tell you. He said, but I will tell you that it was a very low voice. And he said this to me. Now, I never told him about the carpet crunching. That was my previous child's father. He says to me that he would often wake up in the middle of the night and go to the restroom or just be laying there trying to go back to sleep, and that he would hear what sounded like a guard walking from door to door, that he would hear the sound of carpet like somebody was walking on it. I couldn't do anything but cry. But I actually recorded him saying this. So he said that it would go outside of the bathroom door and that it would stop for just a couple of seconds, that it would start again. And he could hear it actually moving from door to door like it was checking something. Later on, the same room that happened in would be the same room that I got attacked by something from my closet. I wouldn't say really attacked, but I was terrified. So, you tell me, what do you think it was?
Tonight you're going to hear a terrifying story, but it's not going to come from me. It's going to come from my Appalachian grandmother. She lives more than 12 hours away from me, but came to visit.
Well, I want to tell you about a bad experience I had when I was growing up. And we used to go walking of a night and not think anything about it. I lived in Ohio. And so my cousin and myself and another girl, we were all walking. And this soldier boy came out, and he asked us, he said, I want to know directions. And he kept walking down towards you. There was a street light, but he kept on edging off to the side where it was shadow. And so I got a little bit suspicious. I got scared. And this friend of mine, she wanted to borrow my shoes. I had some hard sole shoes on. And we swapped shoes, and she had those on. Well, when he grabbed her and he was dragging her, and we ran as hard as we could run. And
he still had your friend?
He had our friend, and she had those shoes on, and she kicked his shin. When she did that, he turned her loose, and she ran. And we ran till we got home.
All right, what year was that? Do you remember roughly what year?
Probably in the 50s.
The 50s, but how old were you?
Oh, I was probably around 11 or 12.
God, were all of your friends about the same age?
Mm-hmm.
God, and she was able to kick them hard enough to get them to let go.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you guys going to run?
And the next morning, it was in the news that this soldier boy had killed this girl.
Oh.
And so evidently he got someone else. And we were just lucky.
Oh, that gave me that really gave me chills all over.
We were lucky.
I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, and my grandmother was the director of the Senior Citizen Center where I'm from. So when I was young, I spent a lot of time there with her, and especially late at night when she would be closing, I'd go after school, the bus would drop me off. This one night, it was probably, it closed at 5 o'clock, so it was probably right around 5 o'clock. I was upstairs by myself, and if you've ever seen the movie Rose Red, this place reminded me of Rose Red, because it was just a really big building. It was old. It was donated by this very wealthy lady, and upstairs there was this library. I know back in the day when we used to have libraries and everything wasn't on Wikipedia, I was upstairs by myself in the library right around closing time. It was just me and my grandmother there. And then I'm probably not reading a book because I don't like to read. I was probably just goofing on. Well, I start hearing these sound like a conversation between two people outside in the main area, because it was a big main area that had like shuffleboard there. And then the library was off to the side and there was a doorway. The door wasn't closed, but I heard two people having a conversation. I was like, that's weird. I thought everybody was gone. It's late at night. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then they just keep having a conversation. I walk out and there's nobody there. Not a single soul in sight. Nobody. I was probably in my young teens at this point, and it's one of the first times I've heard something like that. So I walked downstairs to my grandmother and I'm like, hey, I just heard some people upstairs talking. Are you sure everybody's gone? And she's like, there's not been anybody in here for a long time. What are you talking about? Well, obviously that scared me. And growing up in the Appalachian Mountains, that was one of many things that happened to me, but that was probably one of the first. And I think my grandmother thought I was crazy. And, being in a senior citizens area, that is somewhere that people pass away more often, I guess, because of the age group that is visiting a senior citizen center. But I never went to that library after dark by myself again. I wouldn't go up there, and every time I think about it, I think of Rose Red. And if you've never watched that movie, it's one of the best movies.
It's been a while, but I'm back with another Appalachia story. So in my house, my room was over here with the bathroom and closet, and in my room, there was the attic, like, stairwell that pulled down from, like, the thing in the ceiling, and then across, like, the hall passing through the kitchen, the living room, was my mom's room, and the basement door down to where my brother stayed in the basement. So the layout of my room looked like this. So there was, like, a small hallway part, and that's where the ceiling attic was, and then on the wall that, like, came out and split down, there was just a small closet that pulled open with 2 doors and was, like, 2 feet deep. It was really small. And then it goes down, and there was a window and another window. This window was right on the ground floor level. You could just stand there and look in, but this window dropped down a lot because our house was, like, built on a hill, so the basement was, like, into the hill, and then there was, like, a door in the basement too, but my room looks off down to, like, the, like, cellar, I don't know what it's called, like, under the basement. So it was, like, a good story drop down and 2 stairs that went down. So, like, this window you could not get into or look at, but this one you could. Then it was just all surrounded by forest also. So in my room, my bed sometimes would be in between the 2 windows, like against one window, up against the one going outside, or it would be in the other corner, like facing the window and like feet towards the door, so either my feet were facing the closet or the door most of the time. I think at one point it was different, but so I lived in this house from when I was around 6 to 15, and I would say this, as I got older, stopped happening more, I guess. So it was maybe like elementary school, I guess this was happening. So I would always get a very strong feeling that I could like sense something in my room, and I never saw it, but I could feel it. Like I could describe it, like it was a tall black shadow, like man, like 6 feet, like in my room that I could feel, but I don't think I ever like saw it, but like I knew. I would always have nightmares. Like I've had the most amount of nightmares I've ever had. Like I feel like I get nightmares pretty often, but not like I did in this house. And every time I woke up, like I could feel and just see in my mind like the black shadow man. I'm like scared talking about it in my house right now. So I would be having like a nightmare. I do remember most of the nightmares, but not all of them specifically that I would wake up from. But a lot of them consisted with somebody was watching me. Somebody was in the forest watching me, like through my window because I could see right there. Somebody was trying to kill me. Somebody was chasing me. Somebody was just staring at me like this and that. A lot of my nightmares had to do with that. And I would always wake up and just know, like, I could feel where it was staying. Like, I just knew. Like, as soon as I woke up, I would look to where it was. And it was usually in 2 places. Either in the corner, right in front of my closet, or standing in front of my door right under the attic. I'm getting scared talking about this right now. So when I woke up and I felt like it was by the closet, I would like sit there for a second, like frozen in fear, like hiding under the covers, and I could just feel it was just still in that same spot. And then I always slept with my door open. I would jump off of my bed and run to my mom's room. And I felt like if I stopped, like I felt like I was being chased. Like if I stopped, I would not make it to my mom's room. And then when I woke up and I felt like it was standing in front of my door, like blocking the exit under the stairwell, I would just scream and scream and scream until my mom came. And in most of these dreams too, I was always like trying to get help. Like I was always crying or screaming or something, but like no noise came out. And sometimes I would get like stuck, like I couldn't move. I couldn't like save myself. And it was usually in this house that my nightmares happened, or other things, but that didn't have to do with this. It was so scary. And then I would always go to my mom's room and just like literally sleep right up against her. I couldn't even be in the same bed, not like right up against her, because I was so scared. This happened so often. Like I remember sleeping in my mom's room so often. And sometimes now and then I would wake up again in her room and feel like it was there. A lot of the times though, I feel like it didn't really come into her room, but I could more so feel like it was like by the door, like it was out there, like I couldn't leave her room. I was so scared. And one thing about my mom, she has a specific side of the bed. Like, she has to sleep in one side of the bed. So her side was the farthest from the door. And I never wanted to sleep on the other side because it was closer to the door. So I would, like, go all the way up against her and try and, like, go on the other side of her to not be near the door because I felt like it was out there. But, like, she wouldn't let me. And she had 2 windows on both sides of her bed, but they were also a very steep drop, like more so. So like nothing could go in those windows. They were never scary. But she also had a door to the deck that was like an outside door as well. And then the door like to the rest of the house. And those 2 doors scared me. Like I never wanted to be near them. And she always slept with her door open too. And I'd always beg her to shut it because I was like I could feel it watching me from outside the door and I wanted her to shut it. And she had her side of the bed and did not sleep with the door closed. I feel like I would always try and shut it when I came in, but she would always open it. But most of the time, it was always in my room, and it was by the stairs to the attic, and I was so scared of that attic. I don't think I ever went up there or opened it. I think it's been opened a few times, and I never wanted to see up there. And my closet, I was very scared of too, and like that corner. Oh, and one more thing to mention. One time I was home alone, and I heard stuff in my room like fall over in that corner, and I was like, oh, I guess there's just my cat. Like, he must have knocked something over. I remembered I didn't have a cat anymore at that point. I was literally home alone with nothing there. And so I was so scared. I just sat on the couch and didn't move till my mom came home. And then I went in there to look, and there was, like, stuff knocked over that, like, should not have been able to fall. And it was in that corner of the room, and I was so scared. I probably slept in her room that night.
Hi, my little scary cats. I got a scary story time for y'all tonight, and this one's creepy. This has to do with the Appalachian Mountains. Let me give you a little backstory about me first. I am a city girl. I like to live near the malls, shops, restaurants, things like that. I like to live downtown. I like to be able to be out at night. You know, I love the nightlife. So when my cousin calls me and tells me that they moved to the Appalachian Mountains and, you know, that he wants me to come visit, I'm like, no. And he's like, no, you need to come out here. You know, it's real peaceful out here. It's nice. You know, it's a beautiful scenery. And I'm like, no, okay, there's nothing out there. You know, they're opposite of me. They like to live out in rural areas, out in like away from everybody. They don't like to have neighbors. They like to buy acreage. They like to hunt and fish and do all these things. And, they're builders. They like to build, you know, so they like space and they like to be at peace, and which is fine. You know, different lifestyles for different people. But it's just not what I'm used to. So he's like, but he's insistent upon it. He's like, come down here, please, you know, come visit us. We haven't seen each other in a minute and whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I tell my cousin Lily, I'm like, Lily, we're going to go out to the forest to go visit our cousins. And she's like, what? No. And I'm like, yeah, they live out in the mountains now, you know, and we're going to go out there and visit them. We're just going to be gone a couple of days, you know, not a big thing. And she's like, and so I talk her into it. Okay. So we head out there. So the day that we get there, it's still daytime. It's, you know, so we're hanging out, we're talking, reminiscing, we're just having a good time, laughing, and everything's good. And then all of a sudden, my cousin Bree pulls me to the side, and she's like, listen, she goes, I'm going to tell y'all the rules. And I was like, okay, you mean like the rules for the house? She's like, no, the rules to the forest, I mean the woods and the mountains, whatever. And I'm like, okay. She's like, so if you're outside and you hear something whistle, you never whistle back. If you hear something call your name, you don't answer it. If you hear somebody knocking in the middle of the night, don't just open the door because you could be letting anything in. You have to make sure. And, you know, don't be outside by yourself at night. Don't, you know, pay attention to your surroundings or whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine. Now, mind you, we grew up around a lot of paranormal activity. We grew up in the haunted apartments, the haunted house. And so we're used to paranormal stuff happening. But the things that go on in the Appalachian Mountains are a whole nother type of paranormal. That's a whole nother world of paranormal activity that goes on out there. And I wasn't prepared for it. First of all, I didn't even know anything about the Appalachian Mountains at this time. Like, I didn't used to hear stories on it, nothing like that. I didn't Google it, search it, nothing, because this was a long time ago. So I'm going blindly into it, and me and my cousin, and we don't know what's really going on out there. So we're out there, and like I said, we were having a good time. We were talking or whatever, and then it gets late, and everybody goes to bed. And so me and my cousin are in the living room, and we're just hanging out. The internet is spotty out there, so we're just like, you know, and we're just talking or whatever, and we get bored. We get so bored. We're used to being up at night and everybody else goes to sleep. So we're just there, like nothing to do. So we get up and we start like touring the house. So we're walking around the house and we find this room. So it's like a huge sunroom. It has nothing but windows all around. Okay. Big, long windows all around. And so I'm like, oh my God, this must be the sunroom. You know, there's no curtains on the windows at all. So I'm like, why don't we just sleep in here? So like that in the morning when the sun comes up, you know, I bet you it's a pretty scenery, you know, in the morning. And she's like, okay, that's fine. So we set up there. So I'm sitting on the couch on this side. She's sitting on the couch on that side, and we're facing each other. We're talking, and all of a sudden she gets this look on her face and she turns pale white. She looks scared. Like she is so scared. Like, oh my God, I'd never seen her look like this before. And she's staring right at me. And I'm like, what's wrong? What are you looking at? And she's like trying to talk, but she can't get the words out of her mouth. So I turn around to look, and sure enough, I don't know what it was, but there's something on the window, and it's like in a spider position. Like it's like on the window and it's like at an angle, and it's like crawling and it's tapping its fingers. It has these long, skinny, thin, just weird fingers. And it's like tapping the fingers on the glass. And it's like looking in on us, and it's like plastered on the window. And I'm like, I back up and I'm like, what is that? And she's like, I don't know. And so we're scared, right? But right at that time I turn and look, there's another one on the other side. Mind you, the windows go all the way around. There's another one at an angle like a spider, and it's crawling down and it's tapping on the window. And then before you know it, there's another one on the other side. And I'm like, let's get out of here. So I grab her and we run out the room. So we run to my cousin Bree's room and we're like busting the door, and she's asleep. And I'm like, listen, there's something outside. There's something, you know, we were in that room. She goes, what room were you in? I said, in the sunroom. And she goes, no, why were you in the sunroom? We never go in there at night. And I was like, there's no curtains on the window. She goes, because it's a sunroom and we don't go in there at night. She goes, we only go in there during the morning time. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know. And so that wasn't one of the rules you said. So we go back to the living room and we're all talking, right? And so some time passes and I'm like getting frustrated because like my phone, I'm having a hard time with the internet. And then I see that I have 1% on my battery. So I'm looking for my charger. I can't find my charger anywhere. And I'm like, oh, I left my charger in the car. I said, listen, I'm going to run out real fast. Time has already passed. Those things, whatever it was, must be gone already. So I'm going to run out to the car and get my charger. I need my phone, you know, because my phone always has to be active in case, you know, I get phone calls or whatever. And so, cause I was running a business at the time. So I'm like, I got to go get my charger. So she's like, no, we can't go outside. You cannot go outside at night. I said, it'll be fine. Now it's around 1:00 in the morning. Okay. And I'm like, it's okay. I'm just going to run out real quick. And my cousin Lily's like, yeah, I'll go with her. So we walk out the door and we walk onto the porch. She follows us outside and she's like in tears. And I'm like, it'll be okay. You can go back inside. It's cool. We're just going to go to the car. And she's like, no, hurry, just hurry. We have to go back inside. So we're on the porch, and then you walk down the stairs. There's a little bit, and then there's the car. And so I'm like, it's fine. But I noticed that there's no noise outside at all. Like you can't hear anything. It's so quiet. And I thought that was kind of weird, right? So I'm like, But anyway, I don't think nothing of it. So I walk down the stairs and my cousin follows me and my cousin Bree follows us, and I get to the car and I go to open the door. So right as I'm going to open the door, I hear something whistle. And she's like, oh my God, hurry up. We have to get back inside now. And my cousin Lily, for some reason, decides she's going to whistle back. So she whistles back at it. And my cousin Bree starts crying. She's like, why did you do that? And I look at her and I'm like frozen. I'm like, what, why? And she's like, well, I don't know, you know, and all of a sudden we hear it and it's like coming through the woods. Okay. And it's coming fast, and we turn around and we run inside. As soon as we get inside, boom, we hear something hit the door. Okay. And then all of a sudden we start hearing it around the whole house. Somebody's banging on the walls around the whole house. Okay. And everybody wakes up and everybody comes into the living room and they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, Lily did it. And they're like, what? And I was like, I don't know. We were outside. Something whistled. She whistled back. And they're like, no, you never whistle back at it. You don't do that. And I'm like, I don't know. And it's just banging on the wall. And they're like, don't ignore it. Act like you don't see it or hear it. Don't look out the windows. Don't do none of that. Just go to the room and just try to go to sleep. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I don't know. I mean, there's things out there that are unexplainable. Okay. I don't think I would ever go back. Now, this was a long, long time ago, and I'm sure probably it's gotten much worse, but you should respect those woods, those mountains. Like, that is not something to be messed with.
I took the wrong way. Oh my goodness.
Oh my. Did you see my other two guys? What?
What?
Did you see my other two guys? Did we see your other two guys? No. You're supposed to go that way.
No, we're not supposed to go that way.
No. Want to meet them?
No, we don't want to meet
No,
them.
we don't want to meet them.
How about not? I don't know.
I've lived here my whole life. All y'all naysayers can naysay all y'all want, but when you experience something yourself, I guarantee you won't be naysaying anymore. Lots of unexplainable things happen here. The tales and folklore and warnings haven't been passed down for generations and generations for no reason. We got boogers, haints, cryptids, you name it. Don't doubt it for a minute. Just because you haven't seen them does not mean they haven't seen you. Some of us are more spiritually in tune and self-aware or observant, so to speak. And those are the ones that have always experienced the most. And I'm not saying it ain't beautiful here. This is my home. I love it. You couldn't pry these mountains from my cold hands, no matter how hard you try. I'll always come back here. It's always going to be home. I don't know if it's because I was raised here or what. Like I've said before, as long as you have respect for the mountains, they will have respect for you back. Just like with anything nature. The ocean, the mountains, there has to be like a level of respect there.
All right, this is the most intense cryptid story from the Appalachia I have ever heard. Jaylyn tells this story from when they were 6 years old. So they're actually from the Philippines, but during this time, the parents had moved them to the Appalachia Mountains. They made note that during the first month, everything was fine living there. They even looked up the rules of the Appalachia, and if you know, you know, and they were abiding by them very closely. So they weren't very concerned. One night while they were eating dinner, the curtains hadn't been closed for the night, and Jaylyn looked up and saw something outside the window. It was a white, slender figure with its mouth open wide, full of sharp teeth. The texture of its skin were like fish scales. Its ears were pointy and sharp, and its eyes were dark and wide, almost like void of actually having eyeballs. So immediately they tell their parents, but by the time that everybody looked, it was gone. So they just brushed it off, claiming that they were probably just seeing things. So now it's bedtime, and the father goes and he locks all the doors and pulls thick black curtains in front of every window. Jaylyn and mom were already in the bedrooms. Jaylyn in the bed, and the mother folding some clothing and putting it away in the closet. And then Jaylyn notices something else. The cross that hung near to the closet was upside down. So they immediately tell the mother, and she looks at it, and everybody's really stressed out. So she calls down to the father, but he doesn't respond, which is really weird and unlike him. So the mother quickly goes down to get him, leaving Jaylyn alone in bed. They're just sitting there, very scared, hoping that nothing else goes wrong. And then all of a sudden, coming from the window in front of Jaylyn, there was loud banging behind that thick black curtain. Something or someone was trying to get in. So Jaylyn calls for mom, and she comes flying back up in the room, and this banging is so loud it sounds like the window is going to break. So the mother and Jaylyn hide underneath the bed, and the father hides underneath a thick black wooden table that sat next to the bed. And then the window shatters and breaks open, and this thing thumps inside the room. They hear the sounds of its footsteps kind of searching for them, and Jaylyn sees its feet covered in scales, and it had long, sharp brown claws. So they are remaining dead silent in their hiding places as this thing lumbers through the room, and when it finally leaves, they can breathe a sigh of relief. So Jaylyn's father grabs a big plank of wood and sort of barricades off that broken window. The mother calms them down, and the father and mother stay up guarding the place while Jalen tries to get some sleep. So the next morning, everybody wakes up early and the mother is cooking breakfast and the father is trying to do as much research as possible about the Appalachian Mountains and what the heck that thing could have been. They are all so shaken and terrified from what happened and in disbelief because for that first month, everything was fine. So Jalen says that for the next 3 months, this creature kept on returning to their home. Every time it would come around, it was always exactly at midnight, and it would be pounding on the windows as if it were demanding to get in. So after the 3 months of these recurring visits of this creature, they decided that they are just going to go back home to the Philippines. Even to this day, they are still all very freaked out about it. How freaking traumatizing. Jalen still has nightmares about this thing. Jalen hopes that telling this story might help out other families who could be in danger of experiencing something similar. Have you ever heard of anything that fit that description before?
Tell me that this next video was filmed in the Appalachian Mountains without telling me it was filmed in the Appalachian Mountains. And why do I say that? Because there was a contractor that was installing a fence during the daytime and looked over into the bushes where he was putting the fence and noticed a woman staring at him. You heard what I said. She was staring at him through the bushes. He then went to get a closer look, and what he saw scared the living daylights out of him. Take a look at this video for yourself. Listen.
Look, dude, she couldn't find her way over there.
Watch the glitch right there. Look at that. Unbelievable.
You see her?
Right there.
Look at that face. Oh my God. It's right there staring at me.
What is that?
Dude, how scary is that?
I froze the video and enhanced it as best as I could for clarity. Do you see the individual or whatever that thing is right there? Do you see it now?
Make sure to like and subscribe for more chilling mysteries. And until next time, stay safe, stay aware, question everything, and please stay out of the shadows.